All right, so one thing that's for sure from what I can see, awakening, for example, whatever that means to you is inevitable. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. It's just a matter of, is it going to be convenient for the collective for it to happen when it happens? You know what I'm saying? Because it should happen before things get way out of hand. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of things that right now people are questioning the new normal. You know what I'm saying? Nothing that's really happening out here is normal. You know what I'm saying? But we're adjusting to it as if it was normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, people go out and they'll just throw on a mask and think that that's just something normal. If you really sit down and just question, does that even look like it's something that's normal? You get what I'm saying? What is really happening? Is there a pandemic really happening? You know what I'm saying? Are people really looking like they do in the movies where you're just falling dead or going crazy? You know what I'm saying? Because there's just some airborne shit happening. I don't see anything happening. You know what I'm saying? And there's people dying, but there's people who are dying from either underlying health conditions or, in my beliefs, if they get taken to the hospital, okay, they are... See, this would sound like a conspiracy, but they are literally probably killed there, okay, in order to justify the story or the novel that's given to us about a actual pandemic, okay? This is one thing to take into account. Everything in general, all right, you merge with everything that's presented to you. You know what I'm saying? The thing we talk about, like merging with AI, okay? When we talk about merging with AI or AI, you know what I'm saying, artificial intelligence, the funny thing is that your phone has a ability that you can unlock because it has something called facial recognition, okay? No different than if you look at yourself in the mirror and you recognize your own face. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that you download all your information into a little machine, into a little system, okay? And it has a lot of apps, a lot of different functions, okay? It takes pictures the same way your brain takes pictures of everything that you are actually looking at. But everything that the computer or the phone is experiencing is based on what you decide to indulge in. And it's going to work back in return for you by giving you, all right, what it is that you mostly look at or you're mostly into, which is called an algorithm. You know what I'm saying? And then it's no different than your body, for example. You look at yourself in the mirror, you do the same patterns, and your reality gets presented to you in a certain way based on your patterns, based on patterns that you basically can consider algorithms as well. Unless you break the pattern, break a program, then you can be presented with other features. You get what I'm saying? So no different. And the inevitable part about us waking up is that people are waking up to, you know, a certain fuckery of shit that happens out here. But the crazy thing is are we gonna wake up when the world looks like the movie Mad Max? You know what I'm saying? Like when it looks like, you know, the end of the world, whatever picture of that, whatever it looks like to you, looks like. Because I don't know, for some reason I can't help but to feel that if I die, the show doesn't continue, the show doesn't go on from my perspective, because I no longer am perceiving anything. I'm just basically, see, my soul or solar plexus or my inner sun is the generator of my reality here. No different than if the actual sun that you see in the sky was to go out, everything would just cease to exist. We would look like when Thanos snaps his finger and everything just pulverizes into thin air. Okay? So that's from one body's perspective. The moment that sun goes out, we are in one body, we all disintegrate with it. There is no, oh, I'm inside a building with generators, so I'm going to just stay inside where there's light. No, nothing, everything that we can observe is only generated by the sun. Okay? So if I go, nothing exists. How do I, and what do I value? Because I value my life, you know what I'm saying? But what do I value about my life the most? You know what I'm saying? What am I willing to do? Let's say money didn't exist. This idea of us sustaining ourselves here didn't exist. We would just do whatever we wanted to do, and we did it with absolute love. Because I feel like everything is an attack on the heart chakra. And if you look at Brother Panic's latest video, there was a section where he starts to talk about that Bobby Hemmitt was telling him, you know, all is love. Everything is just about love. You see, everything is about love. But the only reason it is about love is because with love, you can build, you can see, anything that has life to it is done with love. Anything that's done in the opposite of what love is done in a demolition type of way, where there's no bad or good, because from when you destroy or get rid of something, you can always build a better and stronger foundation from it. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who would say, I want to leave and never come back. But what state of being are you in when you actually say that? Do you feel like you completed what you needed to complete, and all you need to do is just wait for this body to disintegrate, for you to just say, I want to go and never come back? Are you sure that when you go, you're able to actually follow along with, I will never come back? Or are you strong enough to maintain a certain level of awareness in order for you to know where you have to go or what you need to do when you're in those steps? Because I already say we are the dimensions. You know what I'm saying? When we look at 1, 2, 3, everything happens in threes, right? But we're in the third dimension. Now, if we're in the third dimension, and then we have anything after that, which is basically 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. Anything after 9 is just doubling numbers up, you know, repeating the numbers that already were from 1 to 9 or 0 to 9. So when I add up 1, 2, 3, I get 6. And when I add up 4, 5, 6, the totality of that number simplified gives me 6. And then 79, the totality of that number simplified gives me 6, which is basically 666. 6, which is basically 666, the carbon atom, a carbon element. You know what I'm saying? 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. Okay? We consist of nothing but protons, neutrons, and electrons. All right? And anything in between that, what we consider empty space, is basically potential energy. So let's say, for example, if I become completely present right now, okay, I'm able to merge whatever I would consider my past with what's potentially my future and consciously create it in my now moment, okay? So if I am in my day-to-day focused on prepping, doomsday apocalypse, or looking like the movie Mad Max in my head, where that's what the end of the world looks like and whatnot, then that's what I'm creating. The same way they talk about, you know, the novel virus. And one thing that's for sure is that people who talk about this will be deemed as like the bad guys eventually, if you're not careful with, you know, how and why you're doing certain things. Like when you put out information like this about like the virus, you know, not being what it is, I believe there's something going on, but I don't believe it is what is presented to us, and we're told exactly, you know, what it really is. We're just told something else. All right? No different than when we were younger and we celebrate holidays and we're told about Santa Claus and, you know, the Easter Bunny and shit like that. And there's a lot more on the big picture that even the parents don't know about that's going on behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? So there is a lot more going on behind closed doors. It's just maintaining a level of awareness and maintaining an open mind, and basically not giving up your power to know that you create your reality. So whatever you deem as, you know, if you start to feel fearful after watching certain things that is telling you that there's going to be a food shortage, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. I already told you, the moment that you put yourself in that predicament in your mind, you're more susceptible to creating that as your reality, where somebody else, it could happen, but you'll just hear about it on the news and not be experiencing it like the person who actually put so much energy and attention to that reality. You see, this is the thing. I can just stay completely still. You get what I'm saying? I had an incident where I was in the market with my girl and my son. And one thing I could tell you is that I appreciate about my girl is that she kind of always is the level head when it comes down to a situation that could potentially get me to go crazy. But we were sitting there a second after we loaded the car up, and I shifted the car in reverse. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't accelerate. I'm a good driver. See, I always make sure that I don't just rely on my mirrors. I actually look back and look around, before I actually let go of my brake to make sure that there's nothing behind me. And besides, I have a tall Jeep. My Jeep is actually higher up, which, you know, it's got bigger tires and a lifted suspension. So I always have to be extra careful, and that's just a force of habit. So when I shifted, I put the car in reverse, and the car, you know, it always does like a little kick to, you know, to shift into the gear. But I never accelerated. There happened to be a lady that was like at my rear quarter panel on my blind side. Now I look and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't move because I saw her. But she started flipping out. Happens to be that her daughter was basically right next to my car, like right next to my tire. Now I didn't accelerate. I didn't move my car. And she started flipping out. So I lowered my window. I'm like, hey, ma'am, I didn't see you, but I wasn't going to accelerate. I mean, I saw you standing there. She started flipping out. Regardless of what I was saying, I'm like, hey, ma'am, I was being very nice. She started, are you kidding me? You could have ran over my daughter. By screaming at the top of her lungs. You know what I'm saying? And happened to be a black woman, too. So she's screaming at the top of her lungs. My girl's literally, she's like, just let her talk, let it be. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get out of here. And my son's in the back seat, too. So I'm waiting till she's done. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, ma'am, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's cool. My bad. And she said, how about I go over there and slap you right in the face? See, that right there kind of like, it got me, man. It got me because she didn't have to do that. You get what I'm saying? She didn't have to go there. Because it's more or less like the moment she said that, I said, no, you won't. You won't do that. And she she kept on barking at the top of her lungs. She's a female. I mean, if she was to come and slap me, what am I going to do? I would have to just basically defend myself. I've never put my hands on a female in my life. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like I would... See, it's not that I would be afraid to hit a female. I'll be afraid of what would happen if I did hit a female, and not the consequences of me going to jail. It's more or less like, if I know if I hit her, I'm going to break something. You get what I'm saying? And I don't want to have to do that. So basically she came out with that. And I just had to stay very still and breathe until she was done talking. You get what I'm saying? I'm not going to lie. Back in the day, I would have most likely started yelling at her back. You get what I'm saying? But I realized how much more it took from me to stay still, control my breathing, but just stay very still and let the chaos just pass. It took a lot. I'm not going to lie. And it's funny how it takes more sometimes doing less than getting out of my car, exerting more energy. It feels like that would have been easier, but you're giving all your power away. And not only that, you're also consenting to a reality by just engaging in that. So me staying completely still and silent, I actually put out a vibration that I do not consent to none of the bullshit that was happening. I was actually having a good day. Like every day, I try to have my best day possible every single day. Things like this happen to just present themselves into your reality. Funny enough, I'm watching Brother Panic's video, and he starts to talk about the shadow aspects of ourselves. And I asked myself, what would I have done if I was her? You get what I'm saying? Because I was and always have been a hothead. You know what I'm saying? And I said to myself, I would have done absolutely nothing. So me knowing that, I know she most likely would have done absolutely nothing but just barked and talk and barked and talk. You know what I'm saying? Now, I've been conscious and aware. There's been moments in time where growing up, I've gotten into problems with dudes, which is basically you develop street smarts, but you also I've always had that strong intuitive gut feeling of when to fuck around and when not to fuck around, and when to fall back and when to engage and when to do shit. You know what I'm saying? But I've also realized that, you know what I'm saying? The more I have barked in my past, it only showed that I was actually more insecure and more afraid than when I was actually just being silent and just being still and just staying in my driver's seat, staying in my position of power, staying in my seat of my throne. You get what I'm saying? Where I wasn't shaken up, where I was the unmovable mountain, regardless of the storm that was happening outside of me. There was a big chaotic storm, hurricanes, tornadoes, you name it. I'm still. I did not get moved. You get what I'm saying? But there may be times where we are in situations where this is where, you know, you can look at these as blessings in disguise. The same way you look at what you're actually experiencing in your life with this whole situation, with the pandemic, with the way that things are turning out as far as like life being totally different than it was, let's say 5 or 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Life is totally different. But in the end, you're really realizing that this is the best time to be alive. What if you would have lived to be, let's say, 80 years old, and your life would have just been mundane every day? These are new adventures, new experiences, and new things for you to actually open and perceive your reality a different way. You know what I'm saying? But not be herd it like a sheep into whatever the waves are being presented to you. Rather, you just basically, now you live your experience, okay, on your terms. And you're able to say, I don't consent to this, and I, will respectfully decline without having to fight, because you don't have to do anything. And I've mentioned this in previous videos. You know what I'm saying? And everything's just basically waves. Anything that you're not observing is waves. Okay? Potential, infinite potential. And the moment you collapse it into existence is based on the vibration and frequency that you're currently on right now anyway. You know what I'm saying? And whatever you don't like, you know what I'm saying? If you change your perception from what angle you're looking at it from, okay? Don't look at it from these lenses. You're looking at it from these lenses, which is the same lenses as the illusion. You know what I'm saying? And you can't, there's a fine line between that and being delusional. You know what I'm saying? Take control of the wheel. You get what I'm saying? And why do I even present myself with this information right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I just talk on camera, and it's up to the responsibility of the viewer to know, okay, that your life is your life, and you're going to only get your information from yourself, okay? Nobody that you watch on YouTube is better than you are. You're the best there is, and the best that there ever is going to be from your seat, from where you're at, okay? Anything outside of you, okay, can either influence you, inspire you in a negative or in a positive way. And let's say a favorable or unfavorable way. But if it does, know that it is you talking to yourself anyway. Let's say if you got some valuable piece of information from somebody outside of you, okay, they're not teaching you anything. You're basically getting that information from your own self, okay, pushed out from you, presented in the external realm. It looks like it's coming from something outside of you, but it's really coming from within you. Just look at it as everything is inverted. Everything is flipped inside out. Okay? So whatever you're looking at outside of you, whatever you're learning or whatever you're searching for, you're still searching for yourself. And when you talk to people, whether it's stuff that you like or don't like, it's still you. It's a version or an aspect of you that you can look at, and it can inspire you, but it can also inspire you or influence you to change your current situation, because you look at that as something that you do not consent to. Okay? So whatever you look at outside of yourself that does trigger you is a shadow aspect of yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I've experienced that through my family members. I've experienced that through certain crazy things where I'm like, yo, I'm happy right now. I'm in a good vibration. I'm in a good frequency. How in the blue fuck did I attract this female coming out screaming at me, where I know what I did? I kept myself very still, but I also kept my foot on the brake. I never accelerated until I'm 100% sure that everything behind me is absolutely clear. Okay? If you was to ask me how many accidents I've been into in my life, I've been into only one accident that I can tell you, and it was just me on the highway rear-ending somebody else because the floor was wet. And this was when I was fucking probably like 22 or 23. You know what I'm saying? I'm 40 years old right now. Okay? So as far as like having experiences on the road, I come from New York City. Those are the most chaotic streets that you could be on. You know what I'm saying? So I know what my abilities are. And I'm not going to go outside and explain that to her. All I had to do was just stay completely still. Now, here's the funny part. She'll leave and she'll feel good about herself, because she'll say, motherfucker's pussy, man. I fucking talked down to that nigga. That nigga kept his mouth shut. He ain't say shit. Now, that is going through my mind as well. You get what I'm saying? But here's the thing, though. There's always a boomerang effect, okay? It could happen to her later on, okay? And no different than, it's not going to happen in the exact same way, but it can happen in many other different ways, okay? Well, she'll be presented with that reality only because that's what she engaged in to begin with, rather than just being peaceful. Because this is, if you're coming here and you're coming here for inner peace, which to me is the most abundant thing you could feel, is inner peace and a peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? Just inner peace and fulfillment, the satisfaction energy, just being in a satisfied state. Okay? Now, in that moment, I wasn't satisfied because my ego wanted to come out and lash right back at her to let her know, yo, who the fuck are you talking to like that? But the fact that I stood very still, it didn't feel good at that moment. But the satisfaction afterwards, where I realized that it was actually harder, and it's like if I tell you, yo, can you do this? And it's physically harder for you to do, okay? And you can accomplish it, that's one thing, because you'd be like, wow, I just did that, and it's a much harder thing to do. It's funny how just staying still requires less effort, but takes a hell of a lot more out of you to actually accomplish. Things like that are easier said than done, because I've been in situations where I know better, yet I've engaged only because I was not strong enough to maintain my frame. You know what I'm saying? Now, my girl being next to me helped a lot as well. She was like, just let it go. Just relax. Let it be. Let it be. Let her talk. And it was just something that was firing up within me. But then it's like, it felt so good afterwards, man. It felt really good. You know what I'm saying? It felt really good, and it was a learning experience on my end, because I said, fuck, like, these things actually feel better afterwards than the actual part of engaging, where I'm only just putting out a vibration that I consent to that in my reality. No different than if I consent to, you know, let's say if somebody outside of me, okay, is prospering and doing good in their life, and I feel some type of jealousy or envy toward them. I have to sit down with myself, and I don't want to be hard on myself when that happens, but I have to sit down with myself and say, why do I feel like this? What am I missing? Where am I lacking in my life? Why did I just feel this? And believe it or not, the answers will be presented to you through feelings, hunches, some type of emotion that may just come up, an inspiration that may just come up, something may just pop up that will actually answer that to you symbolically. Sometimes it doesn't have to be in language or anything like that, but it will be presented to you. And believe it or not, the moment it is presented to you, you will know. If you are aware, you will know it was presented to you. It's just like when you're in a dream, you don't remember everything in the dreams, but there's certain things that do stick out in dreams. And the only reason they stick out is because that's meant for you to remember that. No different than reoccurring dreams. So things will present to you themselves to you in this dream the exact same way. Okay? So we're in a sleep-like state right now, and it's about waking up as a collective to be able to engage in whatever is, whatever you would consider outside of all this, okay? What the real is, we would engage in it with a totally different energy, let's say. Okay? So if I am jealous or envious of somebody outside of me because they have something I don't have, I am also putting out that vibration to the universe that I do not consent to that kind of prosperity or abundance in my world. Because, see, everybody outside of me are nothing but planets. I am the actual galaxy, and everybody outside of me are nothing but planets and stars. So if they're succeeding, I'm succeeding. And if I put out that vibration that I genuinely feel happy for them, but not from a hypocritical way, a genuine way, that I genuinely feel happy for them, because it starts from you first. If you feel that emotion, it's not for you to go force yourself into feeling happy for them. You have to sit down with yourself and find out why you even felt that to begin with, so that the next time you do it, it is really no effort on your part to actually just feel happy for them, because you can actually see the connectiveness between you and that person. And I'll make a different video on different things that I've experienced with perspectives and whatnot based on experience that I've had with people. So we'll talk soon.